Memory equals imagination. Can you imagine? For the emotional brain, memory and imagination are functionally equivalent. The brain does not reliably distinguish between something that happened, remembered, and something that is simulated, imagined, anticipated, feared, desired. What matters is perceived reality, not objective reality. Let's put it slightly more technical and still grounded. When you remember or imagine an emotionally charged event, overlapping systems activate: limbic system, especially amygdala; insula, felt sense/interoception; hippocampus, context, narrative; prefrontal areas, meaning making, prediction. From the brain's perspective, both memory and imagination are internally generated simulations used to predict safety or danger. The emotional brain asks only one question: does this scenario signal threat or does it signal reward? Not, did this actually happen? Why this matters so much for trauma and identity. This is the key insight. We are not traumatized by the past. We are traumatized by the present reactivation of the past. A memory is not a file. It is a reconstruction, rebuilt each time you access it. So when someone says, "I'm afraid of being abandoned. I fear disappointing people. I feel unsafe being fully myself," what's happening is an imagination of a future outcome, built from memory fragments, charged with old emotional meaning, experienced as now. The body responds as if it's actually happening. Crucial. It's not that the brain can't tell memory from imagination. It's that the emotional brain doesn't care. Cognitive distinction does not equal emotional distinction. That's why affirmations fail when emotional safety is low. Insight alone doesn't heal trauma. Identity doesn't shift until emotional safety is restored. The real implication: if memory and imagination activate the same emotional circuitry, then healing is not about deleting memories. It's about removing their emotional authority. Or in our language, just a story perception equals zero charge. Once the emotional charge dissolves, the memory loses predictive power. The imagination stops looping threat, a new version becomes selectable. That's the bonus or blessing being state we often talk about, not becoming someone new, but allowing a version of you that was always available but was buried beneath your beggar and bugger modus. Let's drop another statement: if memory and imagination activate the same emotional circuitry, then inspiration, visualization, anticipation, and mental rehearsal activate the same emotional neurobiological pathways as lived experience. The emotional brain does not tag an inner image as past, future, real, fiction. It tags it as safe, unsafe, reward, threat. That's it. Important nuance. Not all imagination is equal. There are two radically different modes of imagination. 1. Threat-based imagination: fear, worry, rumination, catastrophizing. This is imagination hijacked by memory. The past wearing a future costume. Emotionally, this reinforces trauma identity, strengthens avoidance, fawning, control, keeps the nervous system in prediction mode. This is the beggar, bugger imagination. 2. Inspiration-based imagination: vision, creativity, curiosity, possibility. This is imagination not anchored to past threat. Emotion-led rather than memory-fed. Often accompanied by expansion, lightness, warmth, excitement. Neurobiologically, different prefrontal limbic balance. Less amygdala dominance. More dopaminergic, exploratory signaling. This is your bonus or blessing being imagination. Same mechanism. Different emotional charge, leading to a different identity outcome. Visualization equals emotional rehearsal. Here's the key conclusion: visualization is emotional rehearsal. The body learns from it as if it were real. That's why athletes visualize performance. Musicians mentally rehearse pieces. Trauma survivors relive danger without danger present. Inspired people grow into future selves before circumstances change. The nervous system updates identity through felt experience, not logic. Why inspiration feels so different from fear fantasy? Because inspiration contains low emotional resistance. Fear imagination says, "This is coming and I'm not safe." Inspiration says, "This is possible and I don't need to defend." No collapse of the stability field. This is also why inspiration cannot be forced. The moment safety drops, visualization collapses into fantasy or pressure. So the shift is not, create something new. It is, stop emotionally vetoing a version of you that already exists. One very important clinical truth. Visualization fails when the nervous system doesn't feel safe enough to inhabit the image. The image contradicts a core belief: I'm not allowed, I'll be rejected. The person is still in beggar mode, using visualization to escape pain. That's why manifestation culture often backfires. Without safety, imagination becomes pressure. Inspiration becomes comparison. Visualization becomes self-betrayal. The distilled principle. The nervous system does not follow reality. It follows emotional credibility. Memory, fear, inspiration, vision, all are internal simulations. Whichever simulation feels safest, feels most familiar, carries least internal conflict, becomes your identity.